Elena Morales was used to climbing. Not just mountains, though her weekends in her 20s had been full of them, but the invisible hills and cliffs of corporate life. As the senior strategy manager at Lumitech, a mid-sized tech company with big ambitions, Elena had spent the last 8 years navigating office politics, leading high-stakes projects, and mentoring junior staff. She was sharp, confident, and driven. So when she found out she was pregnant just 2 weeks after being shortlisted for a VP promotion, Elena stood still for the first time in years. The excitement of the two pink lines turned quickly into a tangle of anxiety. Would her ambition be questioned? Would the leadership team think she was less available, less committed, or worse, too emotional? She had worked too hard to be sidelined now. She told herself she didn't have to make a decision yet, just keep going. At Lumitech, the news dropped like a pebble into a still pond. Reactions rippled. Her team congratulated her warmly, and a few colleagues even shared their own parenting experiences. But in executive meetings, Elena noticed the shift. Questions she would have once fielded directly were now deferred to her male counterpart, Mark. Emails arrived with just looping Mark in as backup notes that hadn't existed before her announcement. Then came the strategy summit. It was the biggest event of the year, a 3-day, high-pressure planning session where the senior team crafted Lumitech's roadmap for the next 5 years. Elena had contributed to every summit since her second year at the company. She'd always been the last one standing at the whiteboard. But this time, the invitation skipped her inbox. "I thought you'd want to conserve your energy," her manager Eric said with a tight smile when she asked. "You've already contributed so much." Elena smiled back, coolly. "I'm pregnant, not retiring." The next few weeks were difficult. Mark began positioning himself as the natural successor for the VP role, quietly taking credit for some of Elena's initiatives. The tipping point came during a stakeholder presentation. Elena, belly visible now at 5 months, presented a bold expansion strategy, her team's proudest work. But after the applause, the executive VP turned to Mark and said, "Nice work leading this. You've really stepped up lately." Elena didn't flinch, but inside, something cracked open. That night, she went home and cried. Then, she opened her laptop. If she was going to be sidelined, she would not go quietly. The next morning, Elena requested a one-on-one with the CEO, Laura Vance. Laura had founded Lumitech 12 years ago and was a rare woman in tech leadership. Elena had always admired her. She wasn't sure how the meeting would go, but she was done waiting. "I need to be direct," Elena said, sitting upright despite the tension in her back. "I'm still the best candidate for the VP role. I know what people are saying, maybe next year, or let's wait until after the baby. But that's not leadership. That's fear disguised as politeness." Laura listened quietly. Elena continued, "We talk about inclusion, about supporting women in leadership, but the second someone becomes pregnant, we treat them like they're made of glass. I don't need special treatment. I need the same opportunities I had before." Laura was quiet for a beat. Then she smiled. "You're right," she said simply. "You know, when I was pregnant with my second, my board almost replaced me. I didn't fight back the way you just did. I wish I had." She leaned forward. "You still want the VP role?" "Yes," Elena said. "And I want to prove that being a mother doesn't make me less of a leader. If anything, it makes me more." Over the next 2 months, Elena operated like a force of nature. With Laura's support, she was invited back into high-level discussions, and soon she was asked to lead a cross-departmental transformation project. Elena brought in her team, elevated new voices, and streamlined processes. Her leadership was impossible to ignore. But she also set boundaries. She blocked off medical appointments unapologetically. She declined late-night meetings when they conflicted with prenatal yoga, and when she needed a day off, she took it, without explanation, guilt, or groveling. She modeled what leadership could look like when women didn't have to act like men to succeed. By her 8th month, the announcement came. Elena Morales was named Vice President of Strategy at Lumitech. She cried again, but this time they were tears of something stronger than joy, something like justice. At her promotion celebration, Laura raised a glass and said, "This isn't just a promotion. It's a statement that motherhood is not a pause button on ambition, that leadership doesn't have a single shape or gender." The room clapped. Elena felt her daughter kick. 3 weeks later, Elena gave birth to a healthy, curious baby girl named Sophia. She spent her maternity leave resting, bonding, and occasionally texting ideas to her team only when she wanted to. When she returned 6 months later, no one had moved on without her. They had grown under her mentorship. Projects had evolved, but her vision was still intact. Her seat at the table hadn't been given away. It had been waiting. And Elena, baby bags slung over one shoulder and strategy notes in the other, took her place again. Because some climbs don't end at the top. They begin there.
From your screen to your heart, hit like and subscribe to our channel.